Behind every locked door lies a story the world was never meant to hear. Welcome to Behind Bars TV, where we uncover the hidden realities of the world's toughest prisons, untold inmate experiences, and the systems built to contain them. From supermax facilities to forgotten penitentiaries, we revealed the truth behind concrete walls and razor wire. This is not fiction. This is the world behind bars. We don't go there. There are places inside Angola prison the public never sees. Places inmates whisper about. Places even guards walk past with their eyes locked forward. Not because they're unsafe. Not because they're abandoned. Not because they're haunted, though some say they are. They avoid them because of what happened there. What was covered up. What was buried, literally and historically. Most prisons have restricted areas. Angola has forbidden zones, dead buildings, closed wings, hidden shacks in the forest, old punishment blocks sealed in concrete, rooms where the lights don't work anymore, places where screams once echoed but cameras never recorded. Tonight, you're going inside every one of them, and you'll hear the stories guards refuse to discuss, even off the record, because some secrets are bigger than a job, a paycheck, or a badge. One guard told us, "If you go poking in them places, you won't sleep for weeks. Maybe ever." Another whispered, "Some doors were shut for a reason. Others were shut 'cause what's behind them still ain't finished." This documentary exposes all of it. Welcome to Angola's Forbidden Zones, where silence screams louder than truth. The red hat that still holds echoes. The oldest and most feared forbidden zone in Angola is the Red Hat cell block. Built in the 1930s, closed in the 1970s, still avoided in the 2020s. It's a long row of dark punishment cells where inmates were once locked for days, sometimes weeks, in total isolation. No beds, no toilets, nothing but stone and heat. The name comes from the red and white striped hats inmates were forced to wear while working the fields under armed gunmen on horseback. To most guards today, Red Hat is just a relic. But every single veteran, CO, told us the same thing. Don't go inside alone. Why? Because too many things happened in Red Hat that never made it to paper. Things the prison buried before modern oversight. Things even the bravest officers refused to speak about. One retired guard, who demanded anonymity, walked us to the rusted entrance, his hands shaking slightly. When we asked him why the building was shut down, he didn't mention brutality. He didn't mention death. He didn't even mention the stories inmates told. He said only, "It wasn't the inmates. It was one of us." And that one sentence opened a door into Angola's darkest piece of history. The night the door slammed itself. Every prison has ghost stories. Angola has things guards swear they experience sober. A former CO, Landry, took us inside Red Hat at dusk. He kept his flashlight low, like he was afraid of turning it on fully. He told us about a night shift 20 years earlier. A night he still refuses to work on the anniversary of. That night, he and another officer, Daniels, were doing routine checks. Passing Red Hat, Daniels said he heard something inside. Scratching. Slow. Like a fingernail across cement. They unlocked the door. Walked in. Checked every cell, all empty. Then, when they turned to leave, the entrance door slammed shut. Hard. The sound echoed like a gunshot. Landry tried to radio the tower. Dead static. Daniels pulled at the door. Locked. From the outside. They were trapped. That scratching noise began again. Closer. Slowly sweeping the length of the cell block wall. Landry swore to us. It sounded like someone crawling toward us, dragging something heavy. They slammed on the steel door. Yelled. Pounded. Finally, after 10 minutes, which he said felt like an hour, the door unlocked by itself. No guard claimed to have opened it. Maintenance said the lock was working normally. When we asked Landry if he believed the story had a logical reason, he cut us off. That place ain't logical. The farm shack in the trees. A small, rotting wooden shack sitting alone between the trees. Angola sits on 18,000 acres. Most people only see the prison buildings. But deep in the woods, where inmates once chopped timber and hauled logs, sits a tiny wooden structure guards refuse to talk about. The farm shack. It's not on maps. It's not used. It's not maintained. But it's not demolished either. Locals claim the shack was where the worst punishments happened before modern oversight came in. Punishments so brutal old-timers still won't speak of them. But according to 3 guards we interviewed, something happened there long after punishment stopped. Something involving an inmate who went missing and a shift supervisor who quietly retired 2 weeks later. One guard told us, "That shack ain't empty. Something of him is still in there." We followed an ex-guard named Mike along a narrow trail through the woods. He kept glancing over his shoulder. At the shack, he stopped 10 feet away, refusing to step closer. He told us the story. The inmate assigned to forestry detail, a young man named Terrence, didn't report back one afternoon. Search teams found nothing. Dogs picked up a scent, led straight to the shack door, and stopped cold. But when guards opened the shack, it was empty. No Terrence. No struggle. Just a rope tied to a support beam and a dark stain on the floor. Mike swallowed hard before finishing his story. The warden said he escaped, but escapes leave evidence. We asked him what he thought happened. He didn't hesitate. "I think he never left that shack." The inmate who walked into the ground. There's a place on Angola's farmland called the Low Ridge, where the earth dips slightly and fog hangs thicker than anywhere else. Farm crews hate working there. Horses refuse to cross it. Dogs whimper when they approach. Guards say it feels wrong, like the ground remembers something. And one story, quietly passed around among COs, claims an inmate once walked into the ground there. Not metaphorically, literally. A man named Reggie Coleman, sentenced to 40 years, was assigned to field plow duty. He was carrying a shovel with his work crew when he stepped onto the low ridge. According to 2 officers still alive, Reggie froze mid-step, dropped his shovel, looked down as if the ground were breathing, whispered, "It's open." And then he sank. Not fast, slowly, like a man stepping into a hole that shouldn't exist. By the time the guards reached him, the earth had swallowed him to the waist. They dug, clawed, pulled, screamed. But the soil around Reggie packed itself tight, like wet cement. When backup arrived, only his hand remained above the surface. By the next morning, even that was gone. The warden declared Reggie a runaway. But the officers who watched him vanish, they quit within the month. One told us off camera, "Angola got places that don't want people walking on M." The metal door with no keyhole. A steel door at the end, different from the others, welded shut around the edges. Dust floating like snow. Deep in the old administrative wing sits a door every guard knows, but no one has ever opened. They call it door 12B. It's not on the blueprint, not on any tour, not on repair logs. The strange part? The hinges are on the inside, as if the door was meant to keep something in, not out. Retired CO Daniels told us. "We heard humming behind that door for years. Not electricity, not machines, something alive." In the 1990s, a renovation crew tried to cut through 12B. Their saws died. Their blades snapped. The wall itself vibrated like a heartbeat. They gave up after an hour. A week later, the foreman refused to return to the job site. 2 years later, that entire hallway was sealed off. But the guards say at night when the block is quiet, they sometimes hear tapping behind 12B. 3 taps. Then silence. Then 3 more. A rhythm. A message no one wants to decipher. When we asked an old guard what he believed was behind it, he said, "Not a who or what." And that's all he would say. The crying room. Some guards still whisper about a place in the main prison that isn't on any map. Not an official room. Not a storage closet. Not a cell. They call it the crying room. Why? Because no matter how many times they patch the walls, paint over stains, and replace ceiling tiles, you can still hear crying inside it, even when the room is empty. Especially when it's empty. Veteran CO Alvarez took us there, reluctantly, during a daytime walkthrough. He wouldn't step more than 2 feet inside. He said the air felt wrong, like walking into a place that remembered pain. He told us about a night decades earlier when a guard disappeared. Only his flashlight was found. Still on. Still pointing at the crying room door. They searched the room. Nothing. They searched the hallway. Nothing. They searched the cameras. Static. To this day, no one knows what happened to him. When we asked Alvarez if he believed the crying was just pipes or echoes, he didn't laugh. He said, "Pipes don't say names." The underground freezer. North of the main building lies a hidden basement room used decades ago to store perishables. But that freezer, it never warmed back up. Even unplugged, the inside walls stay cold enough to frost. Guards refuse to go near it, not because of the temperature, but because of a story from the 1980s. A kitchen worker named Sloan vanished. Search teams found a trail of frozen footprints leading down to the basement, then stopping at the freezer door. Inside, nothing, just cold air and a layer of frost thick as glass. But on the far wall, someone had scratched. Not dead. The warden called it a prank. Closed the staircase. Sealed the door. But on hot Louisiana nights, the freezer door still frosts over, even though there's no electricity running to it. One guard, trembling, told us, "That cold ain't natural. Ain't from this world." The guard who never clocked out. Every prison has legends. But Angola has one story guards refuse to joke about. The guard who patrols even after death. CO Matthew Rooks disappeared in 1993 during a night shift. Never found. No body. No evidence. But for 20 years, guards reported seeing a man in full uniform, walking the old segregation wing, flashlight in hand, head down, never speaking, never stopping. When approached, the figure turns a corner and vanishes. Security logs show multiple reports from different guards on different nights. Some didn't know the legend. One wrote, "Saw a man patrolling. Followed him. He passed through a locked gate." The prison denies the footage. The tower guards swear by it. And every veteran CO avoids that wing after 2 a.m. Don't go down there. Underneath the original death chamber lies something almost no guard has seen. A sub-basement. No windows. No ventilation. No lights. Just darkness. Guards say the air feels heavier down there, like breathing inside a throat. Rookie COs who attempted to explore it as a dare lasted less than 10 seconds before sprinting back up the stairs. One veteran guard explained it simply. Men went down there. Men didn't come back right. Officially, the sub-basement was used for storage. Unofficially, it was used for things prison leadership didn't want witnessed. Pre-interview rooms, disciplinary isolation, off-the-record interrogations, and punishment methods long buried by policy. One retired captain confessed on camera, "There are stains on those walls that ain't rust." He refused to elaborate. When we asked why the area was finally sealed, he said, "Because something down there started making noise." We asked what kind of noise. He stared at us for a long moment, then said, "Breathing." The map that doesn't match. Angola's official map, the one the public sees, is neat, organized, controlled. But retired CO Harris kept a different map. A smuggled, hand-copied version from the 1970s. When we compared the two, our stomachs dropped. The old map showed 3 extra hallways, 2 sealed subfloors, a row of rooms labeled "Only Hold," a long corridor leading to something marked the pit. None of those appear on the modern blueprint. Harris looked at the map, eyes trembling, and said, "That's the real Angola. The one they don't show nobody." He pointed to a section under cell block C. A narrow passage. A forgotten wing. A symbol drawn in pen over it. X. When we asked what the X meant, Harris whispered, "Don't go there. That's where they kept the men nobody was supposed to see." The shadow on camera 9. Angola has a place the cameras shouldn't have caught anything in, because the place isn't supposed to exist. We gained access to archived security footage from a hallway sealed since 1998. Camera 9. 3:11 a.m. The footage shows an empty corridor. No airflow. No lights flickering. No inmates. No guards. Then a shadow moves across the floor. Slow. Human-shaped. But elongated, impossibly tall, stretched unnaturally across the wall as if the light source didn't match. It passes through the frame. Then the camera cuts to static. When the picture returns, a door at the end of the hallway, a door sealed for over 20 years, is slightly open. A guard watching this footage in 2020 reportedly quit the next day. When we asked a current officer about the incident, he said, "Camera 9 catches things we don't talk about." We pressed him on what he meant. He shook his head. Sometimes it's men. Sometimes it's not. The room full of chains. Behind one of Angola's oldest barns sits a locked metal door built into the ground, like a storm shelter. It leads to a room that guards call Chain House 0. The room is lit by one crack bulb. Inside hang dozens of chains. Thin chains. Thick chains. Shackles. Hooks. Cuffs worn smooth by friction. All swinging slightly, even when the air is still. We asked Captain Murray why the chains were there. He said one sentence. Old punishments. We asked if they were ever used on inmates. He clenched his jaw. Silence. Then, after a moment, some of the chains still move at night, when nobody's in the room. We didn't believe him, until he played us audio. In the recording, a metallic rattle, a long pause. Then all the chains clink at once, followed by a dragging sound, followed by footsteps leaving the room. But the door never opened, and the motion sensor recorded nothing. Murray ended the interview early. The well where voices rise. There's a well behind Angola's chaplain building. It's older than the prison, older than the plantation. Historians think it dates back to the 1800s. Guards walk around it. Inmates refuse to look at it. And some say that on certain nights, you can hear voices drifting up from the darkness. Low. Muffled, begging. Some voices sound like men. Others sound like children. But the worst story comes from 1994, when 2 inmates claimed they saw a man climbing out of the well. Not a ghost. Not a hallucination. A man. Covered in mud. Clothes torn. Face pale. They screamed. Guards ran to the field. No one was there. Only muddy handprints on the stone. Fresh. The chaplain told us quietly, "I don't think the well keeps water. I think it keeps memories." The Forbidden Wing. Every guard knows about a place they call the Forbidden Wing. It's short, narrow, unnaturally cold, and sealed tighter than any other part of the prison. The official explanation? Structural damage. But whenever a new warden takes over, they're briefed on the wing privately, behind closed doors. No paperwork. No cameras. We interviewed a former warden's assistant who said, "That wing, it ain't damaged. It's dangerous." He said the wing was originally used to house inmates no one wanted on the main line, men who weren't supposed to interact with other prisoners, men connected to cases involving corrupt officials, secret operations, internal investigations, and violent disciplinary incidents. The wing was supposed to be temporary, but something happened. Something inside that wing changed guards forever. We asked the assistant what it was. He said, "Some men walked in that wing normal. They didn't walk out normal." We asked what he meant. His eyes watered. He whispered. They came out talking about things they couldn't have seen. We asked to go inside. He told us one last time, "Don't." The name that appears where IT shouldn't. Every inmate at Angola has a file. Every file has a crime, a sentence, a transfer sheet, a photograph, a medical log. But one inmate's name appears where it shouldn't. Daniel R. Harlow. We found his name on a death row roll call, but no execution date. His name on a transfer log, but no receiving signature. His name in a disciplinary report, but no incident. It was like someone wrote him in, but never wrote him out. When we asked a retired sergeant about Harlow, he stiffened. A long pause. Then he said, "Harlow? He ain't supposed to be in any file." We asked why. Another pause. Then, 'cause he died before he got here. We pressed him. He stood up, walked away. Interview over. But that night, the producer received an anonymous message. A single text. Check the forbidden wing. What lies behind the sealed door? After weeks of negotiation, and one warden who absolutely refused, we were granted supervised access to the forbidden wing for 12 minutes only. A guard escorted us, his hands visibly shaking. He said, "I'll open the door, but I ain't going in." The door creaked open. Cold air rushed out. Cold that felt wrong. Heavy. Not like AC. We stepped inside. The hallway was narrow, silent, and coated in dust, so thick it muted our footsteps. The lights didn't work. We moved with flashlights. 6 cells on each side. All empty. Except one. Cell F3. Inside that cell was a name scratched repeatedly into the wall. Harlow. 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 Dozens of times. Different handwriting. Different pressure. Different levels of panic. Someone had tried to scratch it deeper, until their fingernails left blood traces. Then we saw something else. On the far back wall, a single sentence. He never left. Our cameraman whispered, "Who? Harlow?" A voice behind us said, "No." We spun around. It was the escorting guard, white as a sheet. He said quietly, "Harlow didn't scratch those." The inmates who remember a man they never met. We interviewed 13 inmates, all from different tiers, different sentences, different generations. We asked a simple question. "Do you know Daniel R. Harlow?" Every inmate reacted the same way. Their eyes shifted downward. Their breathing changed. Their voice lowered. But what they said next was shocking. "I've heard the name. He was here before I got here. I heard he was in that wing. People say he didn't die normal. They say he screams at night." One lifer said, "You hear footsteps sometimes, but no one on the tier is walking. Some say it's him. Some say it ain't." We asked, "Did anyone ever see Harlow?" The inmate leaned forward, stared at the camera, and said, "People see something." The night shift that broke 3 guards. In 2004, 3 guards on night shift reported something that ended their careers. They were patrolling near the Forbidden Wing, a place they were not supposed to approach at night. But one heard knocking. From inside. 3 knocks. Pause. 3 more. The exact rhythm guards reported hearing behind door 12B. When they approached the wing, the temperature dropped instantly. One guard's breath fogged. Another's radio died. The third heard a voice. A man whispering, "Help me. I'm still here." The lights in the hallway flickered. Footsteps echoed. Fast, heavy, running toward them. Except the hallway was empty. Something slammed into the wing door from the inside. Hard enough to bend metal. The guards ran. 2 quit the same week. The third was found sitting alone in the break area hours later, staring at nothing, mumbling, "He shouldn't be here. He shouldn't still be here." The official report says, hallucination due to fatigue. But the unofficial report, the one never filed, says, sounded human. The final secret of Angola's forbidden zones. Here is the truth guards refuse to discuss. No one knows who or what Harlow really was. His name is in the system, but no full record exists. His name is on death row logs, but no execution record exists. His name is on transfer sheets, but no arrival signature exists. His name is scratched in a sealed wing, but no evidence he was ever housed there exists. And yet, guards hear him. Inmates fear him. One sealed wing bears his name dozens of times, and one specific hallway still echoes with footsteps on nights when no one is there. One former captain said, "Harlow ain't a man. He's a mistake." But the warden's assistant, the only person brave enough to speak plainly, said, "If you open the wrong door in Angola, you might find something that never should have been put here." We asked him what that meant. He looked at the ground, then said the words that end our documentary. "Harlow ain't dead. He ain't alive neither. He's what happens when a place takes more than it can bury." What you just saw is more than a story. It a reality lived by thousands behind bars. If you believe in uncovering the truth, the kind hidden behind concrete walls and silence, then join us. Subscribe to Behind Bars TV and never miss a chapter in the world's most dangerous stories. Until next time, stay aware, stay informed, and remember, freedom and confinement are sometimes only a wall apart.